Hi, I hope I'm audible. So the topic for today is introducing biology. So let me just check if I'm audible once. Yes, okay. All right. Okay, so before I start, let me introduce myself. I am Vani Kari, biology educator at Unacademy. I am an engineer with bachelor's and master's degree in biotechnology and a B.Ed degree. Also a founder of a startup where I grow microgreens by vertical farming technology. So join with us in Telegram for homework and class notes. You can join the channel Vani Kari ICSE Class 10 Biology. Okay, and the Telegram channel of Unacademy ICSE and ISC boards. So you will find this link in the description box. Okay, so you can join the link over here. Click on the link and join the channel so that you will be getting updates regarding the classes. Now for special classes. Okay, so we conduct free classes or special classes on Unacademy platform. So learn from your favorite educator for free. Engage with the educator via polls. Okay. Then clear your doubts in the live special classes. So we can also conduct a poll there, and also there is a question tab where you can clear your doubts during a live class itself. Now for the top special classes, you can visit the link that is there in the description. Okay. So you can click on that and join the special class over there. Okay, now Unacademy subscription features, you can learn live from the comfort of your home, unlimited access to all the courses. So different educators will come up with different courses, so you will have access to all of those courses. Top educators of India are going to take the class in one platform, that is Unacademy platform. Okay, then regular doubt clearing session. So after about every 3 session, the fourth session will be doubt clearing session. So any doubts you have related to the topics that are previously covered, so you can clear your doubts in this session. Then complete syllabus will be covered. Then mentorship and guidance is given, study material is given, the practice test, live test series, so you will have access to all of this. And depending on your preference, you will have access to English batch, Hindi batch, as well as a English batch once you take the subscription. So you will get access to all of these batches, and along with that there is a daily practice section, weekly mock test series, live quizzes, daily MCQ and subjective test series also. Okay, so Unacademy plus subscription pricing. So this is my referral code Vani YT. So with this referral code you will be getting 10% discount on the subscription. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. So since you are in class 9, so you can try with 6 months of subscription. Okay, so if you just want to try like how exactly this works, so you can go with 6 months. So those who are just in the beginning of class 9, so you can also go with the 12 months of subscription, so that you will be getting class 10, 11, 12 subscription absolutely free. If you are going for a complete subscription, so you can go with this as well. Okay, so introducing biology is the topic that we are going to discuss today, which is your first chapter. Okay, so first chapter is introduction to biology, or introducing biology. Okay, so mainly here we discuss about the growth of biology, who are the scientists who started this biology study. Then also we will be discussing about the different branches of biology. Okay, let's get started then. So biology, when we mention, so what exactly is biology? Anybody has any idea what is biology? As the name itself suggests, so you only thing is that you need to know the split of words. Okay, so now bio here means life. Okay, so when we say bio, so it is a life. Logy is study. Okay, so what exactly we are doing in a biology? So it is the study of a life. Okay, so it is the science. So why do we say it is a science? Under science comes the physics, chemistry, and biology. So in that case you are studying. So for biology, it is the study of the life. So you will be studying each and every organisms in detail. So it's not that as you go for research field or a higher studies. Okay, So you will be studying only one organism in detail, and based on that only you will come up with many methodologies, or maybe you can discover a particular medicine, or maybe you can discover a, a cure for certain conditions of a body, or a different things. Basically a research is going to be continued on one particular organism, so you can find out a lot of things with respect to plant also, animals also, or any microbes also. So that is, you are studying the life in detail here. So that is the biology. Okay, so now biologist, who exactly is biologist then? So the person who studies biology, so he is called as a biologist. Okay, so in that case, let's have a look at the biologists, some of the biologists who studied or who started studying biology for the first time. Okay, so now biologists can also be those who actually mention certain things related to how the research has to be done, or certain set guidelines will be there. And those who are mainly studying, and they are giving us like how certain a protocol for extraction of a DNA, protocol for growing a particular microorganism. So anything, so those who are mainly studying a living organism, so those are called as a biologist. So moving on to this one, Aristotle. So this is in the year, so that is 384 BC to 322 BC. So this is before Christ. Okay, so contributed most extensively to the development of a biology. Okay, so in the field of biology, so the contribution of the Aristotle was major. So what exactly did he do? So his work focused on the history of animals. So how exactly animals, like what is the history? So like let's say we always say that we come from monkeys, right? So all these organism ancestral history that we need to study, so that is what he started with. Okay, so he focused on history of animals, biological causation, and the diversity of life. So we find many organisms, right? So I'll just write them. Okay, so we find life in the hilly areas, we find life in the desert areas. Okay, we find life in the water, that is aquatic condition. We also find life in the normal, that is terrestrial. Okay, so terrestrial also we find. So this is basically when we mention, so different area, different combination of areas are there, and there are diversities, there are different organisms. So n number of organisms that we find, they are restricted only to that area. So some organisms, if we have to say, so they'll grow only in that area. If I try to pick that plant, so let's say there is a plant which is growing in a Himalayan region. If I try to bring that to my place, let's say I'm in Bangalore, so I'm bringing that plant, the Himalayan plant, to here, so it may survive here or it may not survive. So depending on what type of a condition it is living in, so we can find many different type of living organisms. So now I just told you about the plant. So there are organisms, there are bacterias. Okay, so there are a lot of different bacterias. What are them? So you pour a acid on them, nothing will happen. Okay, so you pour a salt on them, nothing will happen. Okay, so if you heat them also, nothing will happen. So those type of bacterias, what are they? So those are called as a extremophiles. Okay, so why do we call them an extremophile? Because they can survive any condition. Let's say I'm having a bacteria plate here. Okay, a plate is there which is completely having a bacteria. I'll pour acid onto it, nothing is gonna happen. So that is the acidophile. So basically they are made in such a way that they are living deep inside the crust, or maybe deep inside the water, or maybe anywhere where there are extreme condition. Let's say you are going outer space, so in those outer space where there is nothing available, so there also certain extremophiles can survive. Okay, so now depending on that, so there can be different organisms organisms. So diversity of life when we mention, so there are a lot of organisms which can survive in different condition. Okay, so now since Aristotle is the person who started about the different life. Okay, so he was too much interested, so he was he used to observe the different the plant growth. He used to observe the different insects. He used to observe the different animals. Then he started studying them. So he is the father of the biology. So it's not that he just went on observing, so he started dissecting them. Okay, let's say he took an animal. Okay, so there was nearby near him, so let's imagine that there was a tiger, or maybe dead tiger, or something, some animal which is there. So he went on observing them. He went on the layer by layer. So dissection study was also done. So that is how a study of a life started. So it is the Aristotle who started this study, and that is why we call him as a father of biology. So this is not not a simple task like we say father of biology. So just we say that he is the father of biology, but to be called as a father of biology, he must have carried out a lot of studies. So it is not just on plant, not just on animals, all the different organisms that he might have studied. And that is why bio meaning here is life, logy is study. Okay, and he is called as a father of biology because he has studied many different life forms on the earth. Okay, so now his student is Theophrastus. So he is a student of Aristotle. So Theophrastus, so that is in the year 370 to 285 before Christ it is. Okay, so in that case he wrote botanical text on the structure, life cycle and uses of the plant. So he was mainly, so his sir or his teacher was mainly into different organisms. So he was into microbes, he was into fungi, he was into animals, he was into humans, he was into plants. So he was studying every possible life on the earth, and that's how we call father of biology. But Theophrastus, who was a student of Aristotle, he was mainly into the plants, and he wrote many of the details of the plant. He made a book. So those days books, right? So it is not a book like what we write. So they used to write it with the whatever plant extract that they used to get. So onto the leaf itself they used to write it from the plant extract again. So in that case wrote many botanical texts on the structure. So what is the structure of a plant, what it is made up of, how the cells are arranged. So everything was looked by him. What is the life cycle, how exactly these plants are surviving, whether the plants will undergo sexual reproduction, whether the plants are carrying out a asexual reproduction, whether the plants are unicellular, whether the plants are multicellular. Okay, whether whether they are prokaryotic, whether they are eukaryotic. Each and every detail has to be studied. And after he studied the plant, so he gave a details and how exactly multiplication, how exactly the plant, how, let's say we are studying about a mango tree. Okay, so how exactly this mango tree is giving rise to a baby mango tree, and how exactly this is growing. So what is the change, what is the life cycle. So all the details of the plant was studied by the Theophrastus, and that is how he got the name as father of botany. Okay, so it is not just for one plant that you are observing and you are overnight you are called as a father of botany. They have to carry out a lot of research. They have to tell the general public who are living in that particular age. Okay, so they need to mention the uses of plant. So he just did not study the structure or a life cycle. So what exactly is the use, how one can use this plant for their purpose. So all that was mentioned and they wrote it on certain things. Okay, so that is basically he is the one, so father of botany. Okay, so next is Hippocrates. Okay, so Hippocrates is basically in the year 460 to 377 before Christ it is again. Okay, so in that case he rationalized the science of healing and treating the sick. Okay, so that is, basically the plant uses, or maybe, like now we call it as the Ayurvedic medicines. Okay, but earlier itself those people, like before this also, even before this, so we have studied lot of histories, right? So basically in that, a science of healing, so they used to extract a plant fluid or a plant, some of the fluid content from this particular plant, and that chemical used to treat or heal the sick people. Okay, so in that case treating the sick, so that is how, so he is the person who started applying medicines onto the wounds, who started giving juices, that is the plant juices, to the people. He was, that is why he started, like, people started calling him as the father of medicine later on. So this was mentioned later on because, by the use of what he did. Okay, so with that only they mentioned, as the work he was carrying was in such a way that he was able to cure lot of people. Okay, so a lot of people used to, like, those days there were no technologies, there were no medicine. Okay, so only with the help of plants, certain technologies that they used to use. Okay, and they used to give a medicine. So that is why Hippocrates is called as a father of medicine. Okay, so now moving on to the next one. Biology had flourished a great deal in ancient India. Okay, so that is when this particular period, that is 2500 BC to 650 BC, that is before Christ. Then, various systems of classifying animals and plants were developed. So what is the first person who classified these animals, or who classified these living organisms? So that was mainly based on the observable character. So now, we don't know anything in detail, so we don't know whether the plant is unicellular or multicellular. So that is in the previous year, not now. Now we can say that obviously it is, the plant is multicellular, animals are multicellular, but earlier when no idea was there, so it is actually they just used to observe. Okay, so based on that observation, so they used to classify the mobile ones and immobile ones. So plants were separated, animals were separated, because based on the motility. So same way in case of animals. Okay, so classification was done with respect to animals based on whether the animals are jivaj, or whether the animals are andaj. Okay, so that is oviparous or a viviparous. So what exactly is viviparous? So this is now a viviparous. Okay, so they used to observe the delivery method, so how exactly they give rise to their baby. So whether they are laying an egg, like in case of oviparous, so you can see many chicks. Okay, so they lay their egg, and the egg will hatch. Okay, so hatching of an egg will occur, and then there is a baby that is coming out. So it can be like you have seen in movies, and also crocodile eggs will hatch. Then dinosaur movies, if you watch, so those eggs will hatch, and the organism is coming. So that is a living organism. So same way here also, they used to observe it. Okay, so this is about the introduction to biology. So I'm just telling about how exactly they started studying about different organisms. Okay, now based on the animals itself, yes, are you all understanding? So based on the animals itself, so how exactly they used to observe. Okay, so the people who were living in that era, so they used to observe, and they used to classify the animals as oviparous and viviparous. So the ones who laid the egg, okay, so those were placed under the oviparous, and the ones who actually giving rise to a young one, so those who were giving rise to a young ones, so those were called as a viviparous. So vivi is life, OV is egg. Okay, so egg, OV means egg, YV is life, so that is directly giving birth to a life itself. Okay, so then animals who like, then so after certain technologies that they understood, like what all can be done, so after that the cultivation of rice was the first introduced into India. Okay, so rice cultivation was the first thing that they started cultivating a rice. So they started growing different varieties of rice. So even now we use many different varieties of rice, even though more usage is done mainly with respect to polished rice. Okay, but we have a different rice, and different part of India, that is different people in different part of India consume different varieties of rice. It is not always a white rice. Okay, so some consume red rice, brown rice might be there. So depending on what they are growing, so it is estimated that more than 1,000 varieties of rice. So it is not just one or two varieties, so more than 1,000 varieties of rice that we can see. Okay, and it is being cultivated, that is more than 1,000. So you can see here the white rice is the normal one that we consume, like, or like always. Okay, so there is red rice, there is brown rice. Okay, so this is actually the red rice. So we cannot even say, so you can see the grain difference also. Okay, so with respect to the difference in the grain and the color differences, so grain size, the color difference. Okay, so it is the size also, the texture we can say. Okay, so there is a difference in the texture, then the color variation. So all these differences, so basically early man, when he started cultivating a rice for the first time, so we can have about 1,000 varieties of rice were discovered. So it is only few I have added. So this way there are many varieties of rice that we can find. So let's have a look at the discovery of a cell. So who exactly started the discovery and how the discovery started here? Any doubts? Okay, all right, so now discovery of a cell, when we mention the Robert Hooke, so he is the person, he is a scientist who actually observed the cell, that is again a dead cell. Okay, so he observed the dead cell for the first time, that is in the corks, like, so the cork, right? So tree is there and we make a pieces. Okay, so tree we cut, or branch is there, so we make a cut. Okay, so this is a cork slice now. Okay, one second here. So this is a cork slice. Observe, we can observe it under a microscope. You can see mainly the arrangement of cells into it. Okay, so basically many cells which are arranged, so that you can see. Okay, and he did not observe a living cell, he observed the dead cell, so that is in the ear. So I'll just erase this part so that you can see. Okay, so in the year 1665, Robert Hooke was the person who observed a dead cell. Okay, later on in the year 1674, so it is Anthony van Leeuwenhoek. Okay, so he observed the free living cells in a pond water. So what all can be found in a pond water? So in pond water, when we mention, we can find some bacteria might be there, so there can be some amoeba might be there. Okay, or let's say there might be paramecium can be there. All right, or let's say there can be euglena can be there. So these are all unicellular organisms that I am writing. Okay, so then chlamydomonas might be there. So this is a form of a algae itself. Okay, so all these organisms we can find, but he observed a living cell, a moving cell. So he was able to observe there is something movement that is occurring in that cell, so that he observed again with the help of a microscope, because we cannot see these tiny cells or unicellular cells with naked eye. So always a microscope is required. So microscope was used to observe this cell. Then in the year 1831, Robert Brown. Okay, so Robert Brown came up with the idea. So where he started observing a cell, like they all started observing a cell, right? Robert Hooke, Anthony van Leeuwenhoek. So same way Robert Brown also started observing a cell, and he was able to find that there was a cell, and inside this cell there is a structure called as a nucleus. Okay, so he discovered a nucleus in a cell which is basically responsible for, so this is a nucleus discovery was done by the Robert Brown. So don't get confused between the Hooke and then the Brown. So Robert Hooke discovered a cell for the first time, that is in the Koch's lice, and it is a dead cell. But the Robert Brown, so these two might find confusing, but don't get confused. So this Hooke is for the discovery of a cell. Robert Brown, he did not discover a whole of a cell, he discovered the nucleus that is there in the cell, and he mentioned what exactly is the role of this nucleus, what all it contains and what it does. Okay, so not the complete explanation was done, just the discovery and what is its content was given. Okay, so that is given by the Robert Brown. So you remember these two terms might be confusing, Brown and Hooke. So just remember that the discovery of a cell was done by Hooke, discovery of a nucleus was done by a Brown. Okay, so now Purkinje. This Purkinje, he is a scientist who was working on a cell again. So all of this is related to discovery of a cell itself. Earlier days they did not have an ideology related to what exactly cell or what organism is made up of. So in those periods it is basically completely depending on what observation they used to carry out. Now he gave the term protoplasm, that is Purkinje gave the term protoplasm. Meaning is that it is mainly the cell wall is not there. So cell membrane, so inside the cell membrane a cytoplasm and a nucleus. So all of these three together, cytoplasm inside this particular cell membrane which is again having a nucleus. So all of this together we call it as a protoplasm. So instead of calling cell membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus, so they gave a term for that, protoplasm. So when we mention protoplasm, the meaning is that it will include a cytoplasm with a nucleus which is covered by a cell membrane. So cytoplasm is having all the different organelles. We'll just mention it here. Okay, it will include all the organelles. So that means what? Mitochondria is included, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi body, if it is an animal cell, lysosome, ribosome is included, if it is a plant cell, chloroplast is included, if it is again an animal cell, centriole, centrosome is included. So all these organelles also come under the protoplasm because cytoplasm is the one which is having all of this. So what exactly is not there then? It is the cell wall. Okay, so now when we mention here, I'll write. Okay, so protoplasm when we mention, so it is divide of this cell wall. So cell wall is not there, but cell membrane, cytoplasm and then the nucleus. So all of this together. So let's just erase this part, that is the cell wall. So if cell wall is not there, so that will not, so if the cell wall, that is in case of a plant, cell wall is there, right? So we cannot call it as a protoplasm, but the animal cell, it is only this, then in that case we can call it as a protoplasm. So this is a protoplasm, so this is an animal cell. If we remove a cell wall from the plant cell, whatever remaining content is there, so that also can be called as a protoplasm, but the dead material, cell wall, is not there. So means what is the meaning of protoplasm then? It is the living material of a cell. So living content of a cell is called as the protoplasm. Okay, so now Schleiden and Schwann gave the cell theory. Okay, so that is in the year 1838 to 1839. Verco modified the cell theory. So these two scientists who are there, that is Schleiden and Schwann, so they gave a cell theory. So they did not mention how exactly these new cells are being formed. Okay, so what they said is all the living organism, be it a plant, be it an animal, be it a fungi, be it a bacteria, all the living organisms in general. So all of these are made up of a plant cell. All of these are made up of a cell that they said. Okay, but they did not explain how exactly new cell formation, how exactly growth is occurring in an organism. So it is in case of plant or animal, how exactly growth is occurring. So later on Verco came. Okay, so that is in the year 1855. So Schleiden said about the plant cells in 1838. Schwann said about the animal cells in the year 1839. Okay, so later on Verco came. Okay, so Rudolf Virchow came and he said in the year about 1855. So all the cells that we have, so these are all arising from the pre-existing cells. So that was said by the Rudolf Virchow. Okay, so that is in Latin, it is called as omnis cellula e cellula. Okay, I'll just write it here. So he said it like this. So omnis cellula e cellula. Okay, so what is the meaning of this one? All the cells that are there, so those are arising from the pre-existing cell. So that was later on accepted. So now when we mention about a cell theory, so we always say that all the living organisms are made up of a cell. Okay, and cell is the structural and functional unit of a life, and also we say that all the cells are arising from a pre-existing cell. So in general, so this is a cell theory that we say. Okay, so now common cell types, when we mention, depending on their function, so whatever functions that they have to perform, so there is a variation in their structure that we can see. So there are stem cells, there are intestinal cells, there are blood cell. So blood cell, when we mention, it will carry a oxygen and it will throw out a carbon dioxide out of a body. So platelets have a role in clotting. WBCs are having a role in defense mechanism. Okay, not DM, defense mechanism it is. Okay, so they are having a role in defense mechanism. So in that case, depending on what type of a function is performed, so there is a variation in function, variation in structure that we can see. Okay, so let's have a look at the branches of biology. Any doubts still here? So any doubts that you have, you can ask. I'll just continue with the branches of biology now. Okay, so now you can type in your question here itself. All right, so I'll just continue. So what exactly is this one? Okay, so you can see I have added a plant here. Okay, so here I have added an animal. So here this is also an animal, but specifically it is a human. Okay, so now there are different branches in a biology where we will be studying about plants in detail, where we are going to study about the animals in detail, where we are going to study about the humans in detail. Why humans separately, even though it is an animal, even though humans are animals, why we are concentrating more on humans? So that is because human is much more developed than any other organism, right? So we have a capacity to write, we have a capacity to think, like they also think. So it's not that they do not think, they have a good capacity to. Okay, but we are much more developed than other organisms. So we need to understand how our neurons are working. Okay, so for that understanding, when we mention what exactly, how exactly we are able to move this way, how exactly we are able to develop lots and lots of machines, right? So much of technology is developed now. So you can see that the animals, none of the animals have developed any machines, or none of the animals have developed, like Elon Musk. So Elon Musk, what he has done, so he has developed so many technologies to reach outer space, right? So to go to the moon, to go to the outer space, to go to the Mars. So same way, we need to study the human behavior. So for that, human biology is present. Okay, so now in terms of major kinds of organism, so botany, when we mention, it is a study of plant. Okay, so zoology, when we mention, it is the study of animals. Human biology, when we mention, it is a study of a man as a living organism and how exactly his relationship with the other living organism. What do you think is the human relationship with other organism? So some humans behave well with the environment. So some humans are spoiling the climate, or maybe we can say spoiling this earth, planet earth. So basically contaminating the earth, throwing the plastic here and there, all right, so damaging the earth atmosphere. So all this is being done. So this is the behavior that we will be studying. So mainly the human relationship with the other living organisms. So whether we are treating other animals well or not, or whether we are able to survive with them, or whether we are always killing them on surviving, or whether we are able to live with them, like with mutual benefit, or there may not be benefit, but still we are able to serve, or live together. So all this will be studied under the human biology. Okay, now the study of a man and a human society. So this comes under the anthropology. So this is a part of a human biology, so that we call as anthropology, because mainly we are not just studying the human body here, we are studying the human behavior with the society. Okay, so how exactly the coordination with the other ecosystem, so how exactly we are responding to a water, how exactly we are responding to a climate change, how well we are adjusted in this climate or the environment, how well we are adjusted with the plant, how well we are adjusted with the animals or with the microbes. Okay, so all that study is basically comes under the anthropology. So that is the study of a man and the human society, so that comes under the anthropology. So anthropos meaning is man, logy is study. Okay, so let's have a look at this one in terms of special groups of organisms. Okay, so there is a bacteriology, there is a virology. Okay, then there is mycology, entomology, ichthyology, herpetology, ornithology. Okay, so what exactly is the meaning? So can anybody say what exactly is this, what is this, and what is this I have added here? So by this picture, can you recognize, can any of you? Yes, so if you can recognize, so you can just tell me the color, what exactly is this upper part, that is a purple colored one, what exactly is this green colored one? So can you say that? Yes, so you can talk to me, no problem. Yes, no idea what exactly it is? All right, so I'll explain it. So now this one, if you remember, you have studied about a cocci or a coccus, right? So those are spherical bacterias. Okay, so there are lot of bacterias which are spherical or which are round in structure or round in shape. Okay, so those are cocci or coccus. So coccus is a singular term. Okay, and cocci, when we mention, it is a plural one. Okay, so in that case, as you can see, the study of a bacteria, so bacteria can be present as a single. Okay, so bacteria can be present as a double unit, which is called as a diplococci. Okay, so if a bacteria is present forming a chain, okay, so let's say bacteria is there, so these are spherical bacteria which are forming a chain as such. So in that case, we can call it as a streptococci. So all this study will be done. Okay, so all this study related to the bacteria, how they are, whether they are in a group, whether they are attacking an individual in a group or alone, whether they are successful in causing a disease in a host organism, what is the way that they cause the disease, each and every detail related to bacteria, what is that they are made up of, whether it is more of a protein, whether it is more of a carbohydrate, whether it is more of a lipid. So each and every detail, what is there on the surface of the bacteria, so every detail will be studied under the bacteriology. Okay, so now if they are present in a chain like this, okay, so that we call as a streptococci. So now let's say if they are present in clusters, okay, now this is a cluster formation, you can see. So this is one cluster, this is one cluster here. So when they are arranged in a cluster, so that we call as a staphylococci. Okay, so staphylococci. So each and every detail will be studied with respect to these bacteria. Okay, so same way virus. Okay, so viral study will be done, that is the study of viruses. So in this case, can you mention whether the virus is a living organism or a non-living organism? Any idea on this one, whether virus is a living organism or it is a non-living organism? You can just type in. Okay, any idea on this one? So why we do not? So you have studied the five kingdom classification also. Are we placing virus in any of the category? Are we placing a virus in Monera? Are we placing a virus in Protista? Are we placing a virus in a fungi? Or are we placing a virus in a plantae or a animalia? So we are not placing the virus in any of the categories. Why? Because this is when it is outside, that is, let's say here it is on the table. Okay, so when it is outside, that is on non-living thing, so it is actually, it will behave as a non-living organism. Okay, so that is when it is, let's say it is onto this pen, or maybe it is onto my hand. When it gets inside the body, so it will take over the mechanism of our body cell, and it will act as a living organism. Okay, so that is why we cannot place this virus in any of the categories or in any of the kingdom, Monera, Protista, fungi, animalia, plantae, or any of this. Okay, so basically viruses, viroids, prions, so different categories are there. So all of them are placed separately because these are, they are not even living, they are not even non-living. So they change, they keep on changing. That is why we cannot treat these viruses effectively. Okay, so there is no antibiotics can effectively treat a virus. That is because they behave differently in different conditions. So all the details about the virus when we studied, so that we'll see about the virology, so study of a viruses. So what exactly is the study of a fungi then? Okay, so now when we mention about a fungi, one second. Yeah, so study about a fungi, when we mention, fungi is, if you just keep the bread, okay, into, let's say there is a bread in your home. Okay, so you are keeping a bread open, so you are not looking at it like for longer time period, so this did not become bread anyway. So let's imagine this is a bread. Okay, so in that case, you are not seeing this for a longer time, you have forgotten. You can see a growth of a fungi. Okay, black fungus growth you can see onto this one. So it can have a chain like this structure also. So then on top of it we can see a sporangium as such, or we can also see a fungal structure in certain cases like this also. So all this is basically myco meaning here is fungi. Okay, so study of a fungi is called as a mycology. So whenever you are not using certain products, like there is a tomato that you have kept, so there is a fungal growth, so you can see that black powdery material onto this onion. Okay, so whenever you are using an onion in your home, so you will find that black powdery material, right? So that is again a fungi there. Okay, so entomology, so that is a fungal study. So each and every detail, like how exactly arrangement of a cell in this fungi. So this is a multicellular organism, right? So that means not just one cell is present, many cells are there. So now let's say this is one spore which is there. Okay, so this is a ball like structure, so inside this you can find many spores, and these are the many different cells having their own nucleus. So this is a fungi now. Okay, so mushroom also, if you observe, so So this is a button mushroom. Let's say I'm drawing a mushroom here. Okay, so this mushroom also, it is not just made up of one cell, so many cells are there. So each and every details of the cells of the fungi will be done in mycology. So now moving on to the entomology. So when we mention about entomology, it is basically study of an insect is done. What is their feeding mechanism, how do they survive, what is their defense mechanism. So same way ichthyology, study of fishes. Herpetology, study of lizards and snakes. Okay, so what exactly, so mainly we will be for all of this, okay, be it a bird also. So for all of this, what is their defense mechanism, whether they have a beak, whether they have a poison to kill their predator. Okay, so then you know what is the defense mechanism, what is their structure we will be studying, what is the arrangement, or let's say what is their digestion mechanism, what is their respiration mechanism, what is their excretory mechanism, what is their reproductive mechanism. So each and every detail we are going to study about the insect, fishes, lizards, snakes, or birds. Okay, so all that will be studied separately, and a name is given: entomology for an insect, ichthyology for a fish, herpetology for lizards, snakes, and ornithology for a bird. Okay, so let's have a look at the anatomy now. All right, okay, so anatomy is basically internal structure. So you can see here internal arrangement is seen. So we will be studying about the liver, how exactly arrangement is done. So we will be studying about the stomach, there we'll be studying about the kidney, the intestine. So each and every internal organ is studied in detail. So that is by taking a dissection. So what is dissection? That is by cutting open the organism or an organ. Okay, and then we'll be studying that. Now morphology, when we mention, so it is the study the study of form and structure of plants and animals. So we will be studying the plants and animals here. So that is only the external feature. Okay, so students wrongly consider morphology to be concerned with the study of external parts only. It will essentially understanding the interpretation of a structure, both external as well as the internal. Okay, so that is the external study of liver. Okay, so liver, we are not a dissection. Okay, so dissection when we do, that is the anatomy. Now liver I am going to study just the external structure. Okay, now I am going to study about the eye. So that is only the external structure, not a dissection. Okay, so morphology will give you a external detail, anatomy will give you a internal detail. Histology is all the tissue study. So now this is a tissue here. Okay, so study of a tissue, study of minute structure of tiny bits of the body as seen with the help of a compound microscope. So that we can study here. So that is the tissue. Okay, so father of botany, is Theophrastus. Okay, and the study of animals is called as a zoology. Okay, so herpetology is study of birds. So this is false, because the herpetology is study of this is snakes and lizards. Okay, so snakes, one second, and lizard. Okay, ornithology is study of birds. Okay, so next is mycology. So mycology is study of fungi. Okay, so that is basically it is true. So meaning of this one is fungi. So that is true. Okay, so before I end this session, so let me just check. Okay, so there is a new batch that is starting from tomorrow, that is April 6th. Okay, so a guardians batch is there, so it is a all subject batch. Okay, so you can subscribe to this particular batch, so that you can complete the syllabus, that is class 9 syllabus with us. So main thing of this batches, we will be covering the target of this batches, we will be covering the midterm portion here. Okay, so what you can do is take up these sessions. Okay, and for that you need to have a subscription. So you can use my referral code VANIYT to get 10% discount on the subscription. Okay, so this is about the guardians batch, where all these maths, physics, chemistry and biology will be covered. Okay, so introducing community, so never miss on any update from your favorite educator. So get session notes and practice material. Share your feedback directly with the educator via poll. Okay, so check out the link to the educator community below. So you will find the link in the description. Okay, so Bugs Bounty is opportunity for all learners to report any inappropriate content in the video. Be the first one to report a particular issue to claim your prize. Report any inappropriate content using the form in the description. Okay, so how you can watch my special classes? All you need to do is download the Unacademy Learner app. Open the app and click on get started. Enter your mobile number and OTP and sign up using your email ID. Okay, so then once you do that, you can select the class 6 to 12. Then you can also choose the category ICSE class 9, or maybe if you are in 10, so you can choose 10 also. Then you can choose the language that you prefer to learn in, so English, Hindi or English. Then go to the description of this video and click on the special class link. Click on notify me and you will get notified about the classes 10 minutes before the class begins. Okay, and also you can use the code VANIYT. So this is my code. So with this referral code you will be getting 10% discount on the subscription. Also you can use this code to unlock the free products that are there on Unacademy. Okay, so thank you everyone. So I'll come up with the next session. I think I have given a session already, so I'll anyway discuss about that. Okay, so for tomorrow I'll come up with a session on term 1 itself. So before I end this session, so you can click on this bell icon to get notified about the class. You can also subscribe to our channel, that is Unacademy ICSE and ISE boards. Like and share the video and download the Unacademy Learner app now. So you can find the PDF on my Telegram channel. So my Telegram channel is Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10. So there is a gap. Okay, so Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10. So you can search this channel onto this Telegram. Okay, so there I can send a PDF of this one. Okay, so see you all in the next session then. Bye bye everyone. Thank you so much.